All right. Can see people are hopping on, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Out of the Woods. Thank you for joining us. My name is Lindsay Kazarek, and I will be your host for this evening's programming. I'm joined by Casey Withers, our Community Education Associate here at Future Generations University. Our guest speaker this evening is Julie Scher. She is with the West Virginia Food and Farm Coalition, and I love Julie's bio. Whenever I asked her to send this over to me, I had to smile. She said, I have a postage stamp farm in Putnam County where I raise vegetables, mushrooms, and honeybees. I love food and I love growing it and tinkering with it both at the farm and in the kitchen. At any given time, I have just a few more projects than I have time to complete, and I am nearly always game to add a new one. I am looking forward to chatting with West Virginia maple producers about a new USD program that y'all may find useful. Remind me to tell you about my own maple misadventures when we meet. So I'm glad that we're here this evening. Julie can talk a little bit more about her role at the Food and Farm Coalition. And without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Julie. Thanks so much, Julie.
Yeah, sure. So I'm with the Food and Farm Coalition, and essentially I'm coordinating the TOP program for West Virginia. And TOP stands for Transition to Organic Partnership Program. It's a USDA program, and the way that it's set up is the country is divided into regions, and each region. So we're, it's kind of weird. Like sometimes we're in the Northeast and sometimes we're in the Southeast, but we're in the Northeast region for this one. And PCO is over this region, and then West Virginia Food and Farm Coalition is over like coordinating this for the state of West Virginia. So that's kind of my role in all of this. And first of all, I kind of want to switch it to let me switch my computer over to the view where I can see. Well, it's already on gallery. I don't know. Okay, I won't worry about it. Because I wanted to sort of have some discussion and be able to see and talk to some of y'all. But in a nutshell, I wanted to talk a little bit about organic production. And very quickly, has anybody ever considered or thought about maybe transitioning into organic production? And y'all can just shout out. If not, no worries. But I guess the partnership program, partnership is sort of the key word in that. And so, I don't see my role in all of this is I'm not here to convince anyone to transition to organic, but I am here to help you if this is something that you want, or you just want more information about it, or you're thinking about it. That's what I'm here for. That's what I want to help folks out with. And so really before I get started, I want to talk a little bit about the organic program and what it is and what it isn't. And I think that a real common misconception is that organic food really just, it stops when you when you eat the thing. And the organic program is a lot more than just that. And so like a good example is you can buy, clothing that's made with organic cotton. And so, some people be like, well, why you don't eat cotton, so what's the point of it being organic? And really, that's a really good example to kind of show that, just what you eat, that is not the whole point of organic. The organic program is really just like a land management and land stewardship program also. And so it is seeking to eliminate synthetics from farming practices. And the main thing that organic is, it is a transparent label. And currently it's America's only transparent label. And so a good example that I sometimes trot out are my peanut butters. And so here we have natural peanut butter, and here we have organic peanut butter, same company. And if you look at the ingredient lists, they are identical. So ingredients are peanuts and then contains less than 1% or less, contains 1% or less of salt. So it's peanuts and salt, and the ingredient lists are the same. And so the difference between these two labels, and so like you can see the organic seal here, the difference is that, with like conventional peanuts, you don't necessarily know how the land was farmed, how the land was managed, what was put on the land, what was put on the peanuts. You don't know anything about the storage practices necessarily of the peanuts. And I'm not bucking Schmuckers or anything like that. I eat these products. This is just in general. But with organic, all of those things are discoverable. So you can kind of think of it as an ingredient list for the products that were used or were not used to produce the crop. So that's kind of another way, simplified way of thinking about it. As it specifically applies to maple, and one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to reach out to the Maple Growers Association is because I think that it's one of the areas that is just really easy to get organic certification. You're working with trees. There's typically not a lot of inputs, and in organic, an input is anything that you introduce to your operation. So in a crop situation, that's going to be anything that was not on that ground and you bring it in, like even down to seeds. But with maple production, really there's just not really a lot of inputs. And so for the transition process, most maple producers, they don't really have any kind of a wait time. If you have property that's been treated with any kind of a synthetic, there's a 3-year kind of hold or transition period for which you're going to stop applying those products. And then you have to wait 3 years before you can put in a certification application. And with maple, if you haven't been applying anything, even if you're already operating, very often you can just apply the same year because you're really not doing inputs. And so primarily the biggest changes that that most maple producers will have to make is they may need to change some cleaning ingredients, cleaning products that are used to clean materials and equipment, and then may need to change a defoaming agent. So if you're using a defoaming agent in your maple production, you just may need to start using a different product. And that's something that you can do, immediately in your very first year. So this can be easy for you, especially if it's something that you've considered. And if you've considered it strongly, the process now through TOP, the transition program, gives you a partner. And it's a mentor-mentee relationship that is provided for you, and it's free. So you can sign up for this. The sign-up period is in November and April. So we have one coming up in just a few weeks. And you will be paired with a mentor. And ideally, and probably, it's going to be another maple producer who is already certified organic, who's already gone through everything. And they're going to hold your hand and walk you through the process, answer your questions. There is a site visit. So someone will kind of come and look around, see the lay of the land, and help you look at your property, with these goals in mind. All of this is free. And another really good thing about it is that it takes place over Zoom, or Teams, Google Meetup, just whatever, because you and your mentor are going to agree on your schedule, your platform, and you're going to set up your mentorship so it can be, on your time scale. And a lot of our crop producers who are in this program, because this is, go time, they've kind of scaled back their mentorship meetings and said, hey, we're going to meet less frequently during this time because we're just exhausted. We'll have more time to, to play catch up when we're not so busy outside. And so, for maple producers, it's probably going to be the opposite. So your go time is going to be, during the flow, and you might have more time in the summer. And you can set that up. The great thing about using Zoom, and the goal really is they don't want to take you off your farm and cost you time, expense for travel or lodging or any of that. So this stuff can happen over Zoom. They'll walk you through the process, help you fill out your paperwork, answer any questions there, and your mentor will even stay with you, for a certain period into your certification, or when you need some help. So that is, in a nutshell, that is the top program. If anybody thinks that they're interested in that, you can reach out to the Food and Farm Coalition. They're going to send you to me, or you can just go straight to the USDA website, and in a second, or maybe how about now? Let me see if I can figure that out real quick. Aha, there it is. All right, so I just put that in the chat. And let's see. I believe I can. I'll just share my screen briefly. Okay, I'm not going to share my screen right now. All right. All right, so the link will take you straight to the USDA's website and the top program. And so if you want to circumvent calling me, you can go straight to that website. You can click a button. There's a real quick little survey just to kind of make sure, weed out folks that maybe, they're not ready yet, or their operation's not appropriate for the program or whatever. It really shouldn't take you very long at all. However, that will send me to you. So like that survey at some point will be scraped, and I'll get those numbers, and I'll be reaching out to you and kind of facilitating getting you hooked up with a mentor. And your mentor may not be in West Virginia. Probably, actually, it's very unlikely that they're going to be in West Virginia. And that's just fine, because it's all going to be done by Zoom. The National Organic Program is a national program, so everybody's going to be working with the same, for the same standards. So the state lines don't really matter in this case. All right, so with maple, and I think one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to bring this to y'all, and my line of thought, is that particularly with the Maple Association, it really seems like y'all are working together, and you have some team camaraderie and all of that stuff. And so I understand that there are some maple producers that are also purchasing maple from other growers. And so I had a producer ask me about this, like, well, how would this work? And so one of the things about organic is that you can kind of parcel out your products and your property. So let's say that you're in a crop situation, or let's say that you have a 50-acre farm, and you've got 3 acres in vegetables, and you've got X many acres in maple production. So you can get your maple certified and not your crops. And even within your crops, if you grow 12 different vegetables, you can submit 3 of them for organic certification and not the rest. And so what that means is that for the ones that you have gotten certification for, you can use the organic seal, you can market that as organic. All of the other stuff, you can sell it, donate it, whatever. It's just like any other crop that you would grow. You're just not going to be representing it as organic. So you don't have to kind of do all or nothing. And then let's say that you collect the maple, and so you have straight maple, and then you also have several different value-added products that you make, from your maple. You can get, so let's say that you have, I don't know, throw out a product, like cinnamon maple, for example. But you're not using organic cinnamon. That's fine. Just don't use the organic label, don't represent it. So you could say, well, I'm going to just have my straight pure maple syrup. I'm going to ask for certification on just that. And so you can do that, and then you can still make your value-added products. Or if you need to purchase maple from somewhere else, you can still make all of these products. This is really just about where you're going to use the label and how you would market it. And so kind of one of the things that I was thinking about is that if we had for example, if one of y'all is, you're producing maple, but you're also buying maple, and you wanted to have, all of your products certified organic, all of the maple things, and the maple that you're buying is the thing that's keeping you from getting to use the label. If you got a handful of our maple producers certified, then there's people right in the state that you can purchase from. Or if you wanted to sell your maple to somebody who's interested in organic, you can get that certification, and basically all the maple that you've made, you can sell that. You can pre-sell that to someone who wants to use the label, use your maple because it's organic. The other thing that I kind of was thinking about and noticed what pertains to like marketing your products is that you tend to see a lot of maple being used as a replacement for refined sugar in a lot of health foods, or just like choosy consumers who want to reduce their consumption of refined sugars. And so one of the ones that I eat on the regular is this almond butter, and I like the maple one. So the organic label is not on here anywhere because this product in and of itself is not certified organic. But if I go to the ingredient list, the ingredients are dry roasted almonds, organic maple sugar, palm oil, and sea salt. So salt cannot be certified organic because it's literally not organic. It does not contain carbon. So we're really just kind of dealing with dry roasted almonds, maple sugar, and palm oil. So even though this product as a whole is not an organic product, they have chosen to use and purchase organic maple. So the almonds, I'm going to assume, are not organic because they're not bragging about it on the back panel. And same goes for the palm oil. But they are allowed to use it in the ingredient panel, if they're choosing the organic version. So this was just kind of one example, and I just thought it was interesting that they made that choice, even though the product as a whole is not certified. The other thing, I guess, that I'll say about the National Organic Program is that there are a whole lot of operations in West Virginia for a variety of different products that I really don't think will have any kind of like financial benefit from getting certified. So just on that level alone, I really don't think that it is right for every farm in West Virginia. Now, I am a big fan of organic practices and for being good stewards of the land and, like reducing chemicals and all of that stuff and protecting surface water and wildlife. So I am a fan of that. I'm really just talking about like going for certification in the label. So I'm not here to convince you to do it. I'm just throwing it out there that if this is something that you want, the TOP program can absolutely help you. And there's never been more help for a farm in transition than there is right now. And if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to give me a call and I'll get you hooked up with TOP, and I can help you register and online, and all that good stuff. So let's see. Lindsay, I kind of wanted to give Audra a chance to talk about value-added products, and she'll probably have more to add, and we can kind of go back and forth. And then is it possible to sort of open up for any sort of questions and stuff after Audra?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that. So at this point, we can turn things over to Audra. And then if we could, I believe that Casey actually has some things to share about some value added information. Is that correct, Casey?
Not a whole lot. Nothing that Audra wouldn't already have ready to share as well.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, if Casey has anything to add, we'll give him the ability to do that, and then we'll open things up for questions. So without further ado, let's turn things over to Audra.
All right. So Casey, I'll let you fill in the gaps as I create them. And before I jump into the value-added stuff, and thank you for having me. Sorry, it's been a long day. I rushed to get here. Apologies for being a little late. I would like to say regarding Julie's program, it's a really great one. My other hat is also a farmer, and I am working with her now on transitioning, and it's been very useful. She's very knowledgeable and makes things way more fun to navigate. And they're boring regulations, so fun is essential to get through it. And several of us that are part of a co-op, which I will talk about, are actually transitioning and will be aggregating product together in order to reach larger markets with it. So there's definitely good opportunity there. So value-added stuff. There are several things to talk about. So West Virginia Food and Farm is supporting West Virginia value-added producers in several ways. So we are working with them to navigate regulatory, logo development, label design. There's a lot of hurdles that folks can hit depending on where they're at. They could just have an idea, where do they need to go, all that good stuff. Labels are very nitpicky in and of themselves. Are they at cottage industry level? Are they wanting to sell out of state? Each level you kind of hit, there's something new to navigate and work around. So helping with all that good stuff. We are also working with Mountain State Co-op, which is a co-op that I wanted to talk about, to have them further this project. Oh, that's a nice freeze on my face there. Sorry. My internet's rather unstable. We're working with them to continue this project once the grant period is over. And through them, they will be continuing to work with marketing, sales, aggregation, distribution. We'll help them, along with future generations, to identify other markets outside of the state. We are also working with Chef Matt Welch to identify other markets within the state as well. And the co-op itself is also doing that work. We're working with a marketing firm right now to develop and launch an e-commerce wholesale site to showcase the producers. There's a lot about storytelling and have kind of a landing page for purchase of our wonderful West Virginia products. So with that, we are always looking for new members. We would love to continue to support the value-added producers in the state, and that includes the Maple guys. Another kind of side note is the co-op members have a lot of interest in utilizing waste streams. And I actually wanted to reach out to the Maple Association to see if they had maple fans and if that would be something that they would want to work into another value-added product. So if anybody's interested in that, please contact me and I will drop my email in the chat. And feel free to contact me as well about value-added product development and the cooperative. If you want more information on how a cooperative works, that could be a whole conversation in and of itself. In a nutshell, you are an owner. It's democratically led. You have one vote. Everybody decides the movement and growth of the cooperative. At the end of the year, any profits that remain get kicked back out to the members, which are the owners. And we all work together to share resources, employees, you name it. It's a community. We're trying to help each other all the time. Anytime anybody has a need, we talk about it, we try to address it, we develop things together. It's really quite awesome. I'm also part of that co-op with my other farmer hat. So I'll put my email in the chat. I will let Casey fill in the gaps that I'm sure that I'm about to create. We have a event coming up September 24th through 26th at Hawk's Nest. And that will be an event where you can work with Chef Matt Welsh, and Future Generation will be going through an agenda to help you develop, meet you where you are first, and help you develop your product and what you might need to navigate. But with that, I'll let Casey fill in any more that he feels to be relevant that I've missed.
Okay, I think you were hitting on the highlights, and yeah, I just wanted to kind of make this group aware that that was going on, and it's about a month away now. And yeah, so it will, anybody that's really kind of selling any food, value-added food products across state lines, is you're going to have to meet some federal guidelines. And if you're kind of intimidated by meeting those, which it can be a little bit intimidating to swim through those waters, and we can kind of help you get fast tracked, hopefully, and in many different ways, like Audra was alluding to, whether it's making sure you have all the required things that you need on your label, or your commercial kitchen is set up to the standards that it needs to meet. A lot of different things like that, and pretty excited to roll this out to people, and hopefully it's helpful to them, because it is a lot of kind of tedious, dry work that oftentimes it's hard to fit all of that time in with everything else that you're doing if you're trying to run your own small business. But I can send the Food and Farm website that has some more information there in the chat.
I dropped it in there for you, the link.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I think that's all I have to add.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Julie, is there anything that you wanted to add to the conversation before we open things up for questions?
Well, real quick, I will share my screen. I pulled up a couple of things, and the links to these are in the chat. All right. So let's see. Okay. So here's one of them. And I'll say right off the bat, I'm not allowed to promote any one certifying agency over another, and all that stuff. So I'm not doing that. But here is a couple different ones that just so happen to be, produced by others. But I thought, I looked at a few and I picked some out. So I picked this one out because it's short. It's short and it's colorful and it's to the point. And so if you are a producer, this would, and you're just kind of thinking about it, this would kind of give you an idea, just in a nutshell. And so it doesn't get into the nitty gritty, and it doesn't read like a government document, which brings us to the government document. Right. So this one, it does kind of get into the more nitty gritty and the rules, but really, a lot of those rules are for things that I really don't think is happening, certainly on any kind of a scale in West Virginia. So some of the rules are in place basically to protect the tree. But, if you own your land and this is your livelihood, you're pretty motivated to protect your trees. And so there's some places in here where it's kind of, the gist of it is you can't come and rent land for a short term and just tap the trees to death and then peel out. So, that's kind of why some of this is in here. And then it really kind of gets down, this is only, I said it's long, it's really just 11 pages. And a lot of it is, forest management. And I think that most West Virginia maple producers are going into woods and there are maples, because West Virginia actually has more maple trees per capita, or whatever that word would be, than Vermont does. So we have more maple potential. So some of this is referring more to like planned maple forests. And so another thing that they don't want to see is a monoculture, rows and rows of just maple trees. So they're also kind of thinking about forest ecology in a maple stand. And so some of these rules are for that purpose, which that's pretty much what West Virginia already is. So a lot of this is kind of going down these 11 pages. And I think for most maple producers in West Virginia, it's going to be, check, 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 got it. I think for most maple producers in West Virginia, the primary things that I think will garner more scrutiny are your, like your borders. What is happening at your neighbor's property that could impact your trees, your property? And there's ways that you can mitigate that, with buffer zones and things like that. And then the cleaning agents and the defoaming agents. And I think for most maple producers in West Virginia, this would be really simple. If you are producing maple and you cannot keep it fast enough, you have no problem selling it, whatsoever, and you're sold out way ahead of time, then I don't know that financially getting certified, I don't know it. If you feel like you're already charging, the maximum price that you're comfortable charging, I don't know that, it would make financial sense. But there is a cost share program. So when you're looking at kind of the price, and you can price shop to a certain degree with your certifying agency and see what that cost is going to be. It's kind of the one thing in top that your mentor is not going to really be allowed to help you with, because we're not allowed to promote one agency over another. But that being said, all the information is online. And so you can kind of get on there and just look who certifies in our area. And that's on the USDA's website. Your mentor can help you navigate to that page and say, hey, here's where you can look. And so you can see who the agencies are that are around you, and you can kind of look and see, what the price will be. There is a 75% cost share in effect, and has been in effect for quite a while. So it's one sheet of paper. It's pretty easy, and you get it from the FSA. And so you can fill out that sheet of paper and attach your receipt for your annual organic certification. And then, you wait a while and you get a check in the mail for 75%. So when you're price shopping and you're thinking about, the cost, and is this something that could help you get more for your product, just keep that in mind, that you're only really going to be paying for 25% of that. But I can also kind of see, I can easily see a situation where if you're selling out of state, or you want to find a buyer and kind of, like do your maple and do a big sale, and you don't want to go to festivals and things like that. You want to produce it and send it out the door in bulk. That's a situation where, I think that you would open up a whole lot more buyers for your product. All right, so I think I've prattled on long enough. I'll unshare my screen, but just know that these documents that I showed you are in the chat, and then just for funsies, we'll bring up the USDA's website real quick. Here it is. I entered USDA top, and this is what comes up. So it's real easy to find, and it's also pretty short. It tells you, kind of what it is. Then you'll come here. Here's our region. And if you keep on going, there's some fact sheets, but yeah, it's all pretty much in these few paragraphs. And then you can just hit one of these and you can very easily go to the application that I was telling you about. And the application is pretty quick. I mean, if it takes you longer than 10 minutes, you're doing it wrong. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so at this time, if anybody's got any questions, I will answer them to the best of my ability.
So it doesn't look like we have anything in the Q&A or the chat box just yet, but I have a few questions for you guys. Julie, the first one is, how can folks get a hold of you if they wanted to get in contact with you after this webinar? Could you put some contact information in the chat box for everyone? And then while you're doing that, I wanted to circle back to what you were saying earlier about maple syrup producers and how some of them make the value-added products and some of them have blended syrups or infused syrups, and talking about how some of those other ingredients that may go into that value-added product not being a certified organic ingredient. Would the maple producers be able to do something similar like the almond butter creator or maker did in the jar that you showed, where they say that this cinnamon maple syrup is made with certified organic maple syrup, and that could be put on the label? And is there a benefit to them doing that?
Well, so I think that kind of just depends on, who your market is and your audience is. The rules for labeling are they're pretty darn explicit in the NOP is how you can label organic food. And it's all part of transparency. And so, the label needs, just like with any other food, the label really needs to be transparent and trustworthy. So in a nutshell, and of course, like, they're going to tell you how big the font can be and stuff like that. So for a product like this, they can't use the seal unless every single ingredient in the jar is organic, or there's a handful of some exempted products. So there's a thing called the national list. It's included in the plan, and it's basically a two-part list. So there's a list of things that are not organic that you may use. And that's it's a small list. It gets smaller every year. And it's things that we really can't produce with enough quantity at this point, or for some phytosanitary reasons. And then there's another list of things that are non-synthetics that you can't use. And so a good example of that is arsenic. Arsenic is a ingredient that we find in the environment. It's not synthetic, but it's also not something that you want anywhere near your food, and it's on the list. So there's more to go into in that. This is also something like with the labeling that your mentor can help you with. Okay, so you can be walked through all of the labeling stuff as with regards to organic. You'll get plenty of help with that. But in the ingredient panel, if you are using the organic version of an ingredient, you may brag about that in the ingredient list. The only other time that you may use the word organic on the front label, if every ingredient is not organic in the container, is if the primary ingredient, if you're using the organic version of that. So let's say that the almonds were organic and the maple syrup was not. In that case, they can say organic almonds on the ingredient panel, and on the front, they can say made with organic almonds. But they will kind of have some rules about the placement and the font size of that label also. So you can do something like organic almonds. You know, it would look like this and would have like a little blurb where they can tell you that the primary ingredient is the organic version. So that's kind of the rules on that. But now for a product that you are going to make, yes, if you have certification, you can use the word organic on the ingredient panel. So if you're straight maple, you're pure maple, if you got certification for that, your jars of just pure maple, you can use the seal. You can say 100% pure organic maple syrup. You can go with that. For your value added ingredients, you know, like your infusions and stuff, because your main ingredient is going to be, you know, your maple, you can say on the front panel, made with organic maple syrup, once you get certified. So yes, you know, even if like for your infusions and stuff, if every ingredient is not on there, you can still take advantage of being able to use the label. And kind of what I've noticed with most stuff is that for West Virginia farmers who are doing this, I think that they get the most benefit out of it when they're selling stuff out of state. You know, as far as marketability and things like that. And Lindsay, you had asked if I kind of shared my experience with it. So I do crops. I have this tiny little farm. Okay, it's like I don't want to be huge. I mean, it's tiny, y'all. Okay, it's just me. I don't have employees. I work myself to the bone. I have a blast doing it, mostly. So I do crops. I do honeybees, honey, and sometimes mushrooms here. I do a lot of mushrooms here and there. Not even a lot, just some. I don't have my mushrooms under my organic umbrella. I just put in an orchard. It is right next to my crop field. I have not brought it in under my organic umbrella, so I'm really just doing crops on an acre. A big part of organic is record keeping because they want that traceability for everything that went into producing the crop. And so we had, you know, a drought. I took this job with Food and Farm. I haven't been at the farmers markets. I haven't kind of done things the way I've done things normally because of my job situation, actually for, you know, this year and a couple of years before, you know, and then of course COVID. But when it came time for my inspection and certification time, I really only asked for organic certification for the crops that I grew under contract. And so I grow these crops under contract for a group in Virginia. And they're only interested in me because I have the organic certification. And so since I haven't been marketing my other stuff as organic, I'm not required to produce that paperwork and all that stuff. So, you know, I've gone to the farmer's market just a little bit here and there, and I've sold some stuff. I just don't market it or label it as organic because I haven't requested certification for those items. And so that just kind of made my life a little bit easier, and especially during this drought, that I only requested certification in the paperwork for the things that I needed it for. And so, you know, in y'all's operations, if you're doing other things, you can just do straight maple. You know, if you've got crops and other operations, you don't have to bring that under your organic umbrella. Anytime that you want to, if you decide, hey, this is working out pretty good for me, usually the price doesn't change. And so when you go to fill out your renewal, you can just say, yeah, I think I'm going to add my orchard this year. And as long as you've got the, you know, like the affidavits and documentation that, you know, anything that you put on it is an allowable product as a is a non-synthetic, then, you can add to it when you get to that point. Let's see, here's a question. Is the period of partnership program last up to the point of certification, or is there further support after becoming certified as well? Yes, so there is some support afterwards, and I believe, you can sign up for it 2 years, 2 years in a row. I'd have to check if it's longer, but I know for a fact that it's 2 years. So yes. Now, in some cases, your mentor might say, well, you might want to, ask your certifying agency if it's kind of a judgment call, type situation. But yes, the partnership program can take you beyond your, filling out your application, getting certified. They can stay with you for, for a couple of years if it's working out good. Let's see. I'm curious if anybody has thought about it, or is considering it. Okay. So let's see.
I
Have I covered everything I wanted?
Yeah, Audra did raise her hand, so I wanted to give Audra a chance to hop back on here a second if she wanted to add something.
I accidentally raised my hand, but I would like to add something to what Julie said. I was like, oh crap. Oh, I can lower it. Okay, great. Sorry about that. I think the point she made about out-of-state sales, I think the real value is there. I definitely want to reinforce that. I can give an example. So we're working with her, like me and 2 other farmers are working with her to move our hops into organic production. What we can sell our hops out of state with organic certification is over 4 times the price point that we can sell in state, which is crazy because it's still a pretty good price point in state. So there's a huge value there. I just want to reiterate that. And sorry about the inadvertent hand raise.
No, you're good. So we have another question, and I think this could go for actually either one of you. Do you know of a good substitute for glyphosate that would meet organic certification standards?
So I personally do not, but that I'm not saying that there isn't something. That's kind of out of my wheelhouse because it's not something that I ever used that I had to substitute.
Right. Yeah, I was mainly asking in this group specifically because you wouldn't really want to use it ever in your garden, I would imagine. But whenever you're working in the forest and kind of spread out over acres or however much area you're on with the forest that you're tapping, it can be really spread out and kind of battling a lot of these multifloral rose and autumn olives and things like that. And I know a lot of people try to avoid Roundup or glyphosate, but sometimes it's the best option in a certain scenario. I know it wouldn't be able to be used in a certified organic operation, but I didn't know if you all just knew of any other options, maybe because there are a lot of chemicals that you can use that are actually organic chemicals, but there's other methods to kill weeds and things with like that don't involve glyphosate. But I just was wondering if you all knew of a substitute off the top of your head.
Yeah, I don't know one. I do know that if glyphosate's being used, it would trigger kind of the 3-year wait, the 3-year transition period. There may be, some recommended practices or maybe even some products along those lines. I don't know what they are, but that doesn't mean that there isn't. And I'll say, I know that sometimes I've seen people kind of like feel betrayed that, oh, they use, they use products and it's supposed to be organic. The real key, and you'll see this if you look at the National Organic Plan. There's two words. We tend to use the word natural, and that word does not show up in the National Organic Plan. So what they use is synthetic or non-synthetic. And I think a lot of people think, oh, non-synthetic, that means, natural. But the reason why that's not in there, or that word is not used, is because it's not like very heavily defined, the term natural. And what the organic plan does is it very specifically defines organic. And so because the word natural can mean different things to different people, and it's not defined, the word you're going to see is synthetic or non-synthetic. So, there are many non-synthetic products that you can use to produce a crop. And some of them have restrictions on, how you can use it. In some cases, oh, you can use this as, to clean stuff, but you can't use it to kill stuff. Different things like that for different goals, depending on the agricultural industry that, that you're talking about. So just a heads up that, there are non-synthetic products that are used in organic farming.
So Casey, to add to your question, so it sounds like it's being used kind of as a blanket herbicide that it is to manage the forest floor to access your sugar bush, right? Am I correct in that assumption? Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that there's probably organic herbicides that could maybe in combination do the same, could fulfill the same need. I would also say that there's practices as opposed to applications that could be employed that could help with that too. And then in my opinion, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, this is strictly Audra's opinion, that could also be a healthier management of the forest without using herbicides. I'm thinking of controlled burns, but that's just me. So I won't get on that soapbox. But Julie, could you maybe speak to whether or not you can use controlled burning in your practices? I know that on the crop side, we've spoken about that and can use it for weed management. So I don't know if that would kind of be the same application.
Yeah, so to me, I would think that would be an allowable practice, but I also think that might be one of the things that could kind of fall under policy for different certifying agencies. I know, like in crop production, you can't burn your plant residue just to get rid of it, because the whole point, they want you to kind of use that to up the organic matter in your soil to help your soil. So you can use it to suppress weeds and diseases. To me that fits. And with like herbicide, even a non-synthetic, like a natural, an allowed product, they don't want it to be the thing that you run to first. So they want use of all that to be kind of on a last ditch effort. Yeah. It's cleaning supplies, and some management, but all the management practices, at least the way I understand, the maple business, is stuff that you would want to do just for your own business's long-term viability anyway.
An odd thought too is that within that like understory brush clearing, there's also a potential profit in that waste stream That's small diameter woody material that could go then to producing biochar, which I actually have a guy that would buy that stock. So, and he's part of the co-op. Again, love waste stream. Keep it in the system. So that's just another thought. So oftentimes the problem is the solution for something else.
All right. Well, I mean, I think I pretty much laid it all out. I hope it wasn't boring. You know, I want to look for ways to help West Virginia producers, and if it's not for you, that's fine. I don't think it's for everybody. But if it's something you want to explore, we're here to help.
Well, thank you so much, Julie, and thank you so much, Audra, for being here with us this evening. We truly appreciate your time and your expertise. This is definitely something that it's very useful to have a friend help navigate these waters as you're going through something like getting certified to become organic. While we give folks a few extra minutes to put any last minute questions either in the Q&A or the chat box, Casey has already gone ahead and launched our exit poll. So thanks for doing that, Casey. Our next webinar will be on Thursday, September 19th, right here on Zoom at 7 p.m. So we hope to see you all back here again next month for the Out of the Woods webinar series. And feel free to follow along on social media. We have lots of updates and activities that are always happening. And if anyone is interested in joining the workshops, you can find more information about those on our social media or on our website. So I will put that in the chat as well. Quick. And it doesn't look like we have any other questions coming in. So again, thank you, Julie. Thank you, Audra. Thanks, Casey, for helping this evening. Appreciate all of you. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And again, we hope to see you back here next month on Thursday, September 19th, for our next Out of the Woods episode. Have a great evening, everyone.